Good
Hey,
afternoon.
yes, it is. It is a great afternoon, Friday night, Friday evening.
Oh, it is Friday.
It
Yay.
is. Yeah, I went home early. So it's like not going to sit at the office if I don't have to.
Right? I agree. Okay. I was just putting a couple things in the chat here, but it's messing them up, so I'll have to do it different. Anyway, how are you doing today? I thought that it would be good. We've got we were talking about homeschool and other options the other night. Did you want to talk about that a little?
Yeah, I think education freedom is very important right now. Here locally in the county that I live in, there has been a drastic decline in people sending their kids to government education and a rise in homeschooling. And there's some other new private school options and activities that have been popping up. And, we homeschool our kids and they focus on all the things that they care about, that they want to learn.
I know. I think that's amazing. I love it. Um, I homeschooled my daughter too. We actually used a program because I was afraid I wasn't smart enough to figure it out.
Yeah.
and because it's pretty intimidating when you start into it. I mean, I'm confident now that I would have been okay on my own, but
Yeah.
not knowing anything, we went with a program. So, but it still was, when they were teaching about something like what was it, like Columbus and Columbus Day, and they have it all wrong. I
Yeah.
was like, that's not what we're learning today. I was like, so I would teach her the real history, so you would get those options at least as you're homeschooling.
Yeah. So we used a couple different online options for basic, reading, writing, math, things like that. And, our 11-year-old still does some of that, but she's currently writing a book. She's got over 200 pages in it, and she's very passionate about that. And in the process of writing a book, she's learning spelling and grammar and, and everything else, creative writing. So,
Yeah.
she likes to do that. And that's what we have her focus on. Um, a lot of the math that they're making kids learn, they'll never use in their life ever again.
Not
I
only
was
that.
like, yeah, I
Oh,
was
I
like
was
that.
gonna go ahead. Go ahead.
I was like that in high school. I took algebra 1 3 times in a row and failed it every time. And I remember in class, I'd say, well, when am I ever going to use this in the future? I said, oh, well, if you become a chemist or an engineer, or like all these things that I was not going to be doing in life. So I would focus on the things that I wanted to focus on. And it's interesting because our oldest daughter teaches at the karate dojo, right? She teaches younger kids classes. And there's a homeschool class that happens in the mornings, and then there's a regular class that happens in the evenings. And, just the way that the kids interact in the homeschool class versus the one that has a lot of government school kids, it's night and day. The
Yeah.
maturity levels are night and day, and the ability of the kids to focus. I think that with public school or government education, jumping from topic to topic to topic to topic to topic all day long really sets people up for failure later in life because they can't focus on one thing. They're used to jumping around. Okay, we're going to spend 30 minutes on reading. We're going to spend
Right.
30 minutes on math. We're going to spend 30 minutes on history. Now 30 more minutes on this other random thing, gender studies and all this other crap that they're trying to teach kids. So, their brain gets wired to, I don't know, jump from topic to topic.
Yeah.
And it's just not good.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah. I actually do para educating a substitute,
mhm.
and so I do the special needs classes usually, and I will not go into a gen ed classroom. It's insane, and I can't handle watching them being trucked around like little army kids, like you have to stay in a line, you have to be quiet, you can't talk, and you have to sit down at your seat, do your work. And it's like, I know that that's so terrible. Like it doesn't give them, I don't know how you expect a kid to sit like that all day. And sure,
Yeah,
they
it's
get recess, but you have a 15-minute recess, and then after they're all wired from a 15-minute recess, you expect them to go shut up and sit down again. And it's
just
chaotic.
crushing,
Yeah,
soul crushing.
I actually cried the day I did Gen Ed, and I got in my car and I was just devastated to watch it, because it's you're not doing them any good, in my opinion. We
Nope.
homeschooled my daughter until she was in 8th grade, and the only reason that we stopped at 8th grade was because it was, if we wanted her to have the choice to go to school and have the experiences in high school. And so we did 8th grade so that she could decide, because it's so much easier to go from high school to homeschool than it is from homeschool to high school, because are they going to accept what you're doing? Are they going to be
Yeah.
behind in credits? And now she actually got into she had straight A's in 8th grade. She loved it. It was super simple for her. And then she got put in a Cambridge program, which is actually a European style learning at the school.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's much more advanced. And this year she's going to cosmetology school through one of the programs in high school. So she only has a couple classes a day, and they're all electives because she's done everything.
Yeah.
She has an English class right now that's one of her last requirements. And she's going crazy because she thought she'd be smart and take the easy road and just do a Gen Ed class when she's been in these. So everything that they're doing in the Gen Ed class for seniors is what she did in freshman year.
Yeah.
So she's going nuts.
Yeah, it's not challenging at all, right?
No, she's bored out of her mind.
Yeah.
She had 2,000-word essays that were due in 2 hours, where they'll have a 500-word essay that you get a week to do. And then if kids still don't finish it, they'll give them more time. Like there's the expectations there. They don't have any is the problem, right? The expectations that we hold for our kids are so low. I mean, I'm sorry that like I hold for mine are so high compared to what they don't push them. They don't, nothing. It's incredible.
Yeah, but they need more funding. Let me tell you, always need more funding.
Yeah, that's because they all keep leaving. They keep losing.
Yeah, well, you look at the administrative costs also, and the salaries and everything else. Those are continuing to go up, even though performance has dropped. Skill levels have dropped, enrollment has dropped, but yet they're having to continue to ask for more funding and to increase property taxes, funding a system that is not setting these kids up for success at all.
No.
So there needs to be more choice in the system. I've found as you advocate for choice, all of these people that, the teachers and the administrators and the parents that still believe in the government system, like they look at it as a threat. The whole options of the backpack funding. I don't know if you've seen that, where it's like a voucher system and the funding goes with the kid. In Alaska, if you homeschool, you're given like $2,000 a year to be able to cover curriculum and field trips and things like that. Whereas most other states, if you homeschool, you're on your own.
Yeah.
You're completely on your own. And here in Washington State, there's a requirement where you need to register your kids in the local school district to homeschool. And then they try to enforce testing and other things. We did that the first year when we moved out here, and it was a mistake. And the next year we did not re-enroll them in school. It's like, who cares? We're not going to follow their system. So why would we enroll them and then they're going to try to test our kids based on what they're teaching kids at that age? And it's like, no, our kids are way more advanced in other aspects of life. Like, for example, both of our kids have businesses, right? But that's not something that they prioritize in the government education. They don't prioritize business information, business knowledge. They have a bunch of personal development knowledge. They have a bunch of communication skills, interpersonal relationship skills, karate. Our youngest is in dance also. These are none of the things that our kids are doing right now qualifies in their government system.
Right.
And the government would say that, oh, your kids are way behind.
Right.
But in reality, they're way ahead,
Yeah. Yeah, right. Because they're actually being set up for life.
Correct. Yeah. On the things that they're passionate about and that they're going to focus on later in life and make careers in, right?
Yeah.
They're already on track for that.
Right.
Where all these other kids are not.
Yeah.
And I know the interpersonal skills that I can see when I go talk to the homeschool karate kids versus the kids that go to public school. They have a yearly like a party at the dojo at the anniversary, right? And I was talking to some of the other high school kids there, like they're getting food on their plates, and we had chairs available, and one of the kids, I was like, hey, you can come sit next to us, and he just like froze and didn't say anything and like turned and then like ran away and went and sat by himself. And it was like, dude, this kid's about to graduate high school. He's a senior in high school and was just like afraid that we even offered to he could sit with us. And there was the other homeschool kids, and just like,
wow.
Completely. And all the other kids were like, oh, that was weird.
Right. But the homeschool kids are the weird ones, right?
Correct. Yeah. The homeschool kids are the weird ones. Right.
I love that. Yeah.
So
that people don't know what to do with a homeschool kid because they actually have ambition, and they've been allowed to explore what actually interests them. My daughter's done band. Like, we put her in a band program where she actually got to make a music video this year, and
nice.
Learning how to get on stage. And so, those kind of things are so important because it breaks the ice. And you feel a lot more confident in yourself. She, I don't know, just there's so many things that she does. So she's set up, but it's funny because she has advisory, and she's only at school for the middle 2 classes of the day, and she has advisory, and I talked to the teacher because she was failing it, and I was like, why? And she's like, Mom, this assignments are stupid. Like, they want me to go and they want me to tell them what I'm doing or do this whole college plan. She's like, I'm literally doing college right now. I'm in college.
Yeah.
Why do I have to do this stupid shit? And I said, well, just do it. It's going to take you 5 minutes. The government requires it. I'm like, now you understand why we chose to do the things that we did. But it's not just homeschool either. There's Montessori, and so my sister actually has her kid in Montessori school, and they have to pay for it. They have to fundraise for everything. And Montessori is basically just another, it's a classroom environment with more than just your kid, but it's still very child-based. So it's actually, they're going by each child's developmental stages and like what they're capable of, instead of all the classroom being where you have this standard, and if you don't meet it, you're behind, or you exceed, but everybody's right here. And in Montessori, you have a range, and it's multiple levels in one, but they're not funded by the government. They have to do fundraisers constantly for field trips, everything that they want to do, because they don't have the same options.
Yeah, the one size fits all approach to education just doesn't work. They're putting kids of the same age, 30 kids of the same age in the class, but like you said, they're not developmentally the same. They're not educationally the same. They are at different levels, and then they're punishing the kids that go ahead, right? That get things faster and are technically smarter and more advanced. They punish them. They're not allowed to move forward, and everyone's getting taught by the lowest common denominator.
Right.
And, they're even in some areas, they're getting rid of the AP classes because they're saying that it's ableist or racist or whatever they're saying. You know what I mean? Like,
I
oh,
was
that's
just,
not fair because there's
yeah,
more white kids in the AP classes. Or it's like, what? So
yeah,
they're going to hold everyone back and they're going
yeah,
to punish everyone.
yeah,
And then in some areas like California, there's truancy laws, and like the homeschool systems there don't exist. Like have to get plugged into the system. And if you don't, they're going to come after you, and they're going to throw they throw parents in jail because they're not taking their kids to government run education centers. So it's just crazy that the stuff that they get away with and the dysfunction built into the system and allowing the system to fail, knowing that it's failing and continuing it, and not only continuing it, but trying to pour more money and doubling down on the same failed policies.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I know my son went to regular school the whole way through. I didn't get to. I was single mom. If I knew what I know now about homeschool, I probably would have tried with him. But he was also a social butterfly, and so I used homeschool for him as a threat because if he didn't do what he was supposed to. But my problem with him was where I would put him in gifted classes, and he wouldn't. I mean, he started in kindergarten, wouldn't do anything. He was like,
mhm,
why? He already knew it. Like, why? And I would
yeah.
tell teachers, like, he needs to be pushed. He needs to be pushed harder. And they wouldn't push him because he wouldn't do his work. I'm like, well, he's not doing his work because he's bored out of his freaking mind. He has
Yeah.
no interest in doing it. And nobody, they don't care. They didn't care. And he's 30 now.
Mhm.
And, I mean, and the system's only gotten worse. So,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Absolutely. So we need to instill freedom. I know we're big on health freedom. Today is all about education freedom and allowing innovation to happen. Because right now, even in the government education system, the teachers don't control anything.
No.
They're going off a curriculum that's being force fed from the federal government, from the Department of Education, from their local school board, deciding on what curriculums are going to be put in place. So it just isn't, it's not conducive to human nature, and it's not conducive to the different ways that people learn.
Right.
The one size fits all just doesn't work. So education freedom is super important. Definitely we should be adding that to our platform as well to
Yeah,
give options.
for sure.
So
For sure. Yeah. Other than that, I just wanted to mention again that Seattle race, and the more I listen to this chick, I kind of start to understand on a very top level, like why people like her, right? Talk about free, free childcare
yep.
and free this and free that. And like, things are so expensive. So, all of that sounds great. I can't imagine how they're going to pay for all that shit. Because the way that they want to do it is just going to cause more problems. But,
Yeah, I saw that.
Grocery
Yeah,
stores.
yeah, forbidding stores to shut down. Like, how is that going to work? I don't
Right.
understand. None of these policies are really thought out. Rent freeze, right? So they're going to be controlling the amount that people pay for rent. But if you look at Argentina and what just happened there, they had rent control. They got rid of all the rent control. Not only did they get rid of rent control, but they got rid of a lot of the regulations around building. And what's happened is that there's been a 300% increase in housing construction, and rent prices have gone down dramatically because they're allowing more houses in the marketplace. So
Yeah.
now let's take a look here in the United States, where you have these huge corporations that are basically taking over residential housing. I'm not sure if that's something that needs to be addressed, right? Because if you've got BlackRock that owns 50% of the houses in a neighborhood, and they're keeping the rents artificially high and not allowing competition in the marketplace, because anytime a house comes up for sale, they come in and swoop it, right?
Yeah.
And for them, they can just hang on to that asset.
Yeah.
They don't even need to do anything with it, because if they don't rent it out, they can chalk it up as a loss, They can say,
Right.
oh, well, the market value on this house is $2,800 a month. And because it's sitting vacant, we're losing $2,800 a month. So therefore, we're not going to pay that. We're going to write it off as a loss. And they're
Yeah.
just going to hang on to these houses and keep them vacant for a long time. Still the solution to this, a couple solutions, is to open up the market and allow construction here. In Washington State, the permitting process for building these houses is insane. You're talking about 6 months to a year just to get it started. And then you got to, go through the other processes of, and your husband's in construction, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He knows this stuff, like to
Oh,
get something permitted.
the things that we see is stupid. There's no other word for it. Like, some of this stuff is just stupid that you have to
Yeah.
go through. It's my aunt and uncle are trying to build a house out in Gig Harbor, and
Mhm.
they've been going through everything for a year. They haven't even broken ground yet because of
Yeah.
all the stupid shit that they're going through. It's insane.
Yeah, here locally, it takes 9 months minimum for a special use permit. We turned a building that used to be a retail store, before the owners before us rezoned the entire property to industrial. So then we had to get a special use permit for the one building to turn it back into commercial retail, even though nothing had changed structurally. There was still a parking lot. There was still the disabled spot. There was, nothing had changed except for the paperwork. And that's it.
Right.
And then we had to go through a 9-month process, and we had to do a traffic study. We had to do the wastewater study, and we had to do, there was a septic study, right? There's all these things that we had to do that they have these arbitrary time limits. Okay, 45 days now for the traffic study, right? So now you got to wait the entire 45 days and then go to a hearing with a judge or a commissioner or something, right? And then you got to let them decide. And every time you do that, you've got to pay. It was like $800, to go do that hearing,
Yeah.
right? And they're just getting that money, getting those fees, and they create these arbitrary barriers in the marketplace,
Yeah.
which makes
Yeah.
it even more difficult to do business. And then they
Yeah.
add all these taxes on top of it. So it's just crazy.
And it's all just a money racket. And and then if you piss off one person in those offices, there's hell to
Yeah.
pay, because that's the one person that you have to go through for everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You got to be super nice, and you got,
Mhm.
please, thank you. Yes. Even though it doesn't make any sense.
Right. Right.
Even though it doesn't make any sense. And, I talked to them too. I was like, look, this was a store. Why do I have to go through all of this? Oh, well, those are just the rules. Those are just the
Right.
rules. We just have to follow the rules. So you agree that the rules don't make sense. Well, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but they still got to follow them. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's
So,
ridiculous.
and then you bring it up to the county commissioners, and they're like deer in headlights. They're just, oh yeah, okay. And then they don't do anything about it.
No.
They're too afraid to do anything.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We need to it's got to be easier, not harder. We need
correct.
less regulation, because some of the regulations are just ridiculous. So they need less. That's what Glenn should go run for.
Yeah, so I'll be running for county commissioner. That's my plan. And if I can get one more, so I've got another lady that's running 2026. If she gets elected, and then if I get elected, and we're going to run a third one as well, we just need two out of 3 votes. Our plan is to go in there and with a red pen and go through these ordinances and just start crossing them out. Because you just need 2 out of 3 votes to make some big changes and improvements.
Right.
So. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am going to put a link in the comments. I was trying to figure out how to do that here, but it looks weird. So anyway, I'll put a link in the comments here when we're done, that goes to our, that you can sign up for our newsletter and our email.
Mm-hmm.
And that has updates. We do a monthly Zoom every month. Usually it's the last Thursday of the month. This month, it'll actually be the Tuesday, because that's Thanksgiving. So it'll be the last Tuesday. And then I'm also going to put a link to the donation page. and that way people can go in, even if you could do $5 a month. Even something that small makes a big difference, because like I've said before, we grew running $5 ads. We grew by 350 in 1 week, which
Yeah.
is amazing growth. This is proof that people want something different and they're looking for something new. So I'll put all of those links in the comments, as well as to the petition again, and for the against the West Coast Health Alliance. So
Awesome.
I
Yeah,
will.
thank you so much. We talked about, the fundraising, and even just $5 a month, that pays for a day of ads, right? We get 30 people doing that. And I know, Tony, you just donated another $50 today. I saw that come through.
I want
So
to keep
thank you.
running ads, I
Yes.
love seeing it working. We both put out a lot of money for this because we really, really think it's important and want to see
Yep.
this. We talk about moving out of Washington, but I love Washington. So to
I do too.
move is just a devastating thought. But in the reality is that we're not going to be able to afford it much longer. My kid's mortgage is twice what mine is.
Oh,
And
wow.
he makes he actually just got a raise, so he actually makes more money than my husband does.
Yeah.
And it's still a struggle when you're trying to raise 2 kids. And I don't know how people do it these days. I think it's terrible going to the grocery store and putting gas in your car, and then to see them blaming, Trump is like, are you not seeing what's happening in our state? Like, our gas prices have nothing to do with Trump. That is
Yeah.
everything to do with the
And it,
people in power here.
yeah, not just, gas prices, property taxes that keeps going up. Like, it was $13,000 for me this year for property taxes. Like, it's unsustainable. I'm literally selling 2 properties because
Yeah.
I don't want to continue doing that. And then you see the tax money get wasted. It
Yeah.
just thrown away. And, all these organizations, these nonprofits that are getting government grants from my county. So my county dollars are paying for Democrat activists that run these nonprofits, and they're getting 6-figure salaries out of my tax dollars that I got to pay.
That still
And
blows
it's
my
and
mind. I had no idea that the government gives money to nonprofits. I don't know how naive I am. I did not realize that. That's insanity.
Yeah, and then we just found another one that just popped up 2 days ago, where an owner of a local distillery, he's also a city council member, just got a grant from the tourism board for the county, and they paid for entire promotional video on his distillery. Like, they paid for the whole
Wow.
thing. And they don't feature everyone. Like, his was the only one that was featured. His was the only location. And it's like,
Yeah, like if you're
okay, well,
gonna
why
do it,
would you do
then
that?
yeah,
Yeah, do it for other people. Well, he's politically connected,
right.
so he got that funding to promote his business. It's just cronyism and corruption.
You just don't know the right people.
Yeah, don't know the right people, but the government shouldn't be handing out the stuff to anyone. You know what I mean? Using our
I
tax
agree.
dollars and raising our taxes and stealing more money from us, and
Right.
then giving it to the people with political connections. And they
Yeah.
all just seem to be big government Democrats that are getting this kickback money
Yeah.
and these grants and all this other stuff and getting full-time salaries, and then going out and organizing the rallies that are going on.
Yeah. To be corrupt and not care. I
Yeah.
could never be like that. It's just, I don't understand how people sleep at night.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're wiping their tears off with the money they get from the government checks. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
guess. I
you
guess
know,
our entire goal is to not need money, right? Like, that's we live our life trying to be and learn how to be sustainable, so that
yep,
eventually we can move and not need money, so that we can
yep,
be self-sustaining. So I couldn't imagine. Anyway,
yep.
all
All right,
right.
Tony.
Well, thank you. I guess we will see you tomorrow and talk about all more of this fun stuff.
Yeah, when was Levi going to be available? Do you know?
I will give him a text. I haven't talked to him. I've got a couple people that I want to talk to and get them on.
Okay,
So,
cool. Yeah, let me see what I can do too. So Levi, for those of you watching, he's a national chair for We the People. I'd like to get him on the live stream, for 30 minutes to chat about what's going on across the country, because I know there's other states making moves too, and it's
yes.
just exciting to see that. So
Yeah, and I'd love to get a couple members on. And then always, if anybody ever wants to jump on and you have something that you want to talk about, like reach out, because we would love to have that and have
yeah,
more discussion.
it's going to get really boring with just me and Tony every day.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to get creative here.
Absolutely. All right, Tony. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.